you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Morgan.
And we are back to review another recent release. This one is a Netflix release that was directed by Brian Netto and Adam Schindler. And it is called Don't Move. Yes. It is written by TJ Simfel and David White. Now, this is one that we did a trailer reaction for on the channel. I think Robert and I did it, and we were both very intrigued with it. It looked good. Of course, we're going to keep this review spoiler-free, as we normally try and do. Morgan wants to do a spoiler portion, so we can do a spoiler section towards the end of the review. We'll give you guys plenty of warning for that, but yeah, this is, it is, you know, I tend to not do spoilers, but you have some things you want to say that involve spoilers, so there's no reason for you not to say them.
I think that, like, a lot of the good discussion would be we can't really tell too much because it's very...
We have to be a bit vague, sure.
Yeah, it's an experience film for sure. It's about the journey.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mostly. I mean, the end matters, but it definitely is. It's fun.
We'll have a brief section about that.
I didn't know that he had done a review on it, which I should have just known anyway.
A trailer reaction?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it and said, hey, so you should watch this. And he was like, oh, well, that was on my list. So we watched it. I watched it again with him, so. Yeah,
and, my overall thoughts are that I enjoyed the film. I thought it was good. I don't know that I'd call it necessarily the most unique film ever, but what they did well. And even though it's kind of a little bit familiar territory at times, the overall conceit of the film is new enough, and definitely I can see why you say it's an experience, because, yeah, it's... Everything that you see in the trailer happens in the first, 10, 15 minutes of the movie. And so it's like, where do we go from here? That's the real question. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride. And clearly, if you wanted to watch it again with me, you must have too, right?
I did enjoy it. But I mean, maybe I didn't like it, and I just wanted to watch you squirm.
That could be.
But no, I did like it.
Yeah, it's not that often that she'll want to watch something again, especially right after watching it the first time. So that did kind of bode well, and so yeah, we watched this one, and the film, the story in the most basic form here on IMDb is: a seasoned killer injects a grieving woman with a paralytic agent. She must run, fight, and hide before her body shuts down. And yeah, that's kind of the long and short of the first act of the movie. It's definitely not the whole movie, but it's enough of the movie that I can see that's the descriptor. But yeah, I mean, that is the long and short of it. This woman is grieving. Won't exactly say exactly why or how, and then
that almost doesn't matter. I mean, it does.
It's characters, character building.
For you guys to want to watch it, it almost doesn't necessarily matter. It's just that, there's this woman, she comes across a man, and he ends up being a serial killer. That's not a spoiler, that's just a thing. And then she's injected with the paralytic, and what do you do from there? What do you do when you can't speak or move or anything like that, and you have this person that is going to kill you? It's wild.
Yeah, it's a really interesting ride, and that's as much as we want to say without spoiling anything for you guys in this section. So yeah, I enjoyed how the story played out. Again, it didn't feel necessarily the most unique, but I definitely was engaged the whole time. I wasn't like checking my watch or anything like that.
Right.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. Would I revisit it a ton? Maybe not, because it's a little bit like, once you know how things are going to go, I don't know that it's one of those that is super impactful on rewatches. I guess you'd be better to speak to that than me.
I didn't mind it on the rewatch. It didn't. It definitely had more of an impact the first time around. However, it didn't. I don't know. There are some movies where it's like once you're just like, but it. I don't know. There was still suspense. There were still moments where you're like, I liked it the second time around. Just not necessarily as much, but it had rewatchability for sure to me.
Okay. So story-wise, what did you think? I mean, overall, just briefly.
I thought it was really good, and especially with, I'm not gonna say anything, but especially with the way it ended, it like kind of, they saved one good punch for the end, and I thought that was really cool. But I liked the story.
Good. Acting wise, I feel like everyone was strong, and I don't know that they showed who played the killer in the trailer, so I won't ruin that for people that are interested. But I appreciated who they chose, especially considering a particular cosplay of mine that I really enjoy. So
I felt like she did a good job. I'm not, no shade, but I did feel like there were times where, and they're just the smallest things, but it kind of takes you out of the moment, because like, she's not supposed to be able to move, but then there are certain things, like certain places where she reacts in a certain way, or maybe moves just slightly, and it was like, so like, it could have been a little stronger to me, but it's not like this ruined the film.
Was that an acting thing though, or was that a script thing?
I felt like it was an acting thing, because
okay.
it was times where she should have been still, or shouldn't have been able to adjust, and she did, and I don't know if that's an editing thing, where maybe they should have edited that better so that she was, or if it was, she just had a hard time being that still. I don't know. It just,
they have options to cut things, and they have other angles and other takes. So if that happened, I would have to believe that was a director's choice. Like, if he didn't want, or if Brian and Adam didn't want her to move that way based on the fact that she's drugged, they probably would have said, okay, let's do it again, but let's not have you do that. So that's why I tend to think it's not necessarily her acting choice.
Maybe.
As much as how she was directed to do it.
They were pretty minute. I mean, I suppose, I don't know. It could have been missed, but I'm not that's more your side than my side.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
I don't know. Maybe they were just like, this is the best take. I don't know.
They're stuck with it. All right, fair enough. That can happen too.
She was really good. There were just a few moments where little tiny things that she did, I was like,
Well, and then the supporting characters we meet along the way, I feel like they were all fine.
Yes,
they all did a good job.
They were very good.
Yeah. So yeah, acting wise, it was strong. Filmmaking wise, I feel like it was particularly strong because of everything that they have to convey when your lead character literally can't move for a good chunk of the film, and yeah, so you have to be creative with how you're filming things, and I feel like they did a great job. It was engaging throughout, and the cinematography can and usually does play a big part in that. So I feel like the way it was made was very successful.
There were a lot of really good angles.
Yeah.
There were a lot of really good angles.
A lot of really cool ones. The one from the poster is also in the trailer, and yeah, it's just emblematic of the great cinematography in the film. So sound design wise and score, I can't say, again, the score was fine. I can't say that it took me out of the movie, but I can't say that it stuck out enough that I took note of it during the movie.
No.
And sound design, I feel like they did what they needed to. It's not like a typical horror movie where they're really leaning into the sound design of when, where the killer could be stepping and things like that. They do that a little bit here, but for the most part,
there are I can think of certain scenes where sound was a pretty important piece, and they nailed those.
Yeah, that's fair.
But overall, I mean, yeah.
Overall, it's just kind of basic stuff. Yeah, and then after that, we just go to the effects, right? And there's not a ton of effects in the film, and so not a ton, but there's some.
They're good though.
Yeah,
they're good though.
Yeah, when we get them, the effects are good. So yeah, I don't think there's a ton more to say without spoiling. So let's give everyone the warning, and we'll jump into a brief spoiler section here in just about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, jump away now.
Bye.
All right, so spoiling stuff. I don't have anything particular I want to bring up. So what is it that you want to discuss with this one?
The end is like so powerful when she says what she says, because she does a really good job, the character, of trying to get as much information as she can. The movie starts out with her contemplating suicide. She meets this guy that talks her out of it, but he doesn't really talk her out of it. He's just talking to her, and she changes her mind. But it does sort of have a he talked her out of it feel to it.
Played by Finn Wittrock, who is Dandy Mott from the Twisty the Clown season of American Horror Story. That was the link that I alluded to.
Yes, and he's very, very good.
Yeah, he's really good.
So she meets him, and they're talking, and then she follows him out of cause she was going to jump off a cliff, and she ends up going with him. He's blocked her in. Oh no, that's what it was. He blocked her in, and that's when he got her.
He chloroforms her essentially.
Yeah. And then you find out he's a serial killer. Blah blah. But she does like a lot of digging here and there where she can to get as much information on him as she can. And one of the things was she keeps talking about Chloe, who he had brought up, and he tells her one story, but that story kind of shifts throughout the movie, which is interesting because obviously he's lying. But she picks up on it, and she brings it back later once she's able to talk again, and she said, "What did you say to her? You said that there was something that was said just before the accident, but I know what happened after. You said something after. What did you say to her?" And he said, "I said thank you," because she had that whole incident made him realize who he wanted to be or what he wanted to do or whatever. And then at the end, she says thank you to him just before she leaves him to die, essentially. Because he gave her what she needed to live. He kicked her survivalism in and gave her a renewed desire.
Life,
yes. And so she was saying thank you to him because essentially that whole situation almost kind of replayed itself in a way, and she definitely picked up on it and thought, that was fitting, and I thought that was really cool.
That didn't land with me when I watched it. So,
really?
Yeah, no. So yeah, all right, fair enough. So there is some depth to the storytelling when you don't necessarily know that there's going to be that depth when you have a setup like this that seems very surface level. So yeah, there you go, guys. I think that's going to do it for our thoughts on Don't Move. If you've seen it, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you've made it this far into the review and you haven't seen it yet, you're kind of weird, but all right. Let us know what you think once you do watch it, or let us know if you're going to watch it now after this discussion. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Morgan.
And remember,
stay scared.